Welcome to a deep dive exploring communities, their power evolution, and strategic value. We'll be looking at a book on community-powered business, plus some insights from CEOs and a bunch of examples of successful online and offline communities. Whether you're, managing a business or maybe guiding a team, or if you're just interested in human behavior, understanding communities is really essential these days.
Absolutely. It's really remarkable to see how communities have just kind of exploded beyond, physical locations and grown into these vast global networks.
The internet has definitely changed the game, right? Like, remember the early online forums and those old bulletin board systems? Those were really kind of the precursors to this whole new era of connection. It was fascinating to see how those open source software communities like Linux, they really thrived in that environment and kind of demonstrated what global collaboration could achieve.
Well, a great example of that is the story of Abayomi, this young Ubuntu contributor from Africa. He'd actually walk for hours just to get to an internet cafe so that he could participate in that community. It really speaks to that innate human desire for meaningful collaborative work, I think.
Wow, that's incredible. Shows how deeply ingrained that need to contribute and connect on a global scale really is.
So, speaking of value, why don't we take a look at some of the ways communities can be advantageous?
Sure. There are actually five main areas where communities provide significant value. First off, they can really boost customer engagement. A strong community, it can turn passive consumers into some really passionate advocates, which in turn fuels organic growth and amplifies marketing efforts.
It's like the difference between passively watching a game versus actively participating in it, right?
Yeah.
And speaking of marketing, communities can be these powerful organic growth engines, spreading awareness and attracting new customers through shared experiences and authentic recommendations. Exactly. Like, consider Random House and their online writing community Figment. It provides a platform for readers to connect, share their work, get feedback, and it just naturally promotes Random House's books in the process. Or look at Lego Ideas, where fans actually submit ideas for new Lego sets.
That's really cool. It's a fantastic example of how companies can tap into that collective creativity of their communities to drive both innovation and product development. Now, what about support and education? Can communities play a role there as well?
For sure. They offer readily available peer-to-peer assistance, often even better than, traditional customer support channels. Salesforce's support community is a great example of that. They've contributed significantly to the company's success by offering quick and efficient support, and they've cultivated a really strong sense of connection among their users, too.
It's like having this global network of tech-savvy friends who are ready to help you troubleshoot any problem you have. And of course, communities are amazing hubs for skill development and innovation as well.
Oh, absolutely. People within communities, they share knowledge, acquire new skills, and collaborate on all sorts of complex challenges. I mean, the open source software movement is a testament to that, right? You have these communities of developers who've created some of the most powerful technologies we use today.
It truly showcases the power of shared purpose and that collective genius you find in a community. Let's not forget the impact on recruitment and services either.
Right. Communities attract talented individuals, those who are passionate about your brand and often have the skills you're looking for. Plus, they facilitate community driven services like Airbnb or TaskRabbit, where people can utilize their skills to provide services within the community. That whole sharing economy concept in action.
So we've established that communities hold a lot of value. But what is it that makes them successful? What makes people want to be a part of a community and stay engaged?
Well, that's where we get into the fascinating world of psychology, which examines those often unconscious drivers that shape human behavior.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting. Are you saying there's a science to building a successful community? It's not just about bringing people together and hoping for the best.
No, not at all. Communities are these complex systems influenced by a ton of psychological factors. Understanding those factors can be the difference between a thriving community and one that just struggles to get off the ground.
So let's dive into some of those psychological insights. What are some things we should be thinking about when we're building and interacting with communities?
There's this fascinating field called behavioral economics, which explores how people make decisions, and it often contradicts the traditional economic idea of pure rationality. Think about it. We've all made those purchases that we regretted later or clicked on those clickbait headlines even though we knew better.
Oh, I'm definitely guilty of that, especially during those late night online browsing sessions. So how does this connect back to building a community?
Well, it highlights the fact that our brains respond to these emotional cues and these mental shortcuts, and sometimes they override our logic completely. And by understanding these psychological levers, we can create communities that connect with people on a much deeper emotional level. You create environments that appeal to their natural motivations, you reduce friction, and you instill this sense of psychological safety and belonging.
That makes sense. Are there any specific models or frameworks we can use to really grasp those psychological drivers?
Absolutely. Daniel Kahneman's concept of System 1 and System 2 thinking, which he outlines in his book Thinking Fast and Slow, is a good place to start. System 1 represents our fast, intuitive thinking, often driven by emotion, while System 2 is that slower, more deliberate analytical mode.
So system one is like our gut feeling, and system two is like our inner Spock, carefully weighing all the options. How can we actually apply this to building communities, though?
It's about understanding that people are just naturally more drawn to communities that feel intuitive, that are emotionally rewarding, and that align with their innate desires. Then there's the Scarharf model developed by neuroscientist David Rock that dives even deeper into this. It outlines 5 key social domains that influence our behavior. Each one can trigger either a threat or reward response in our brains.
Fascinating. Tell me more about this SCARF model.
Well, SCARF, it stands for status certainty, autonomy, relatedness, and fairness. And each of these domains, it plays a vital role in shaping how we interact in a community. Understanding how to activate the reward response in each of these areas is key to creating that positive, engaging community experience.
All right, let's break it down then. Starting with status. What does that mean in a community setting?
Status, it relates to our perceived importance within a group. It's about feeling valued, respected, acknowledged for our contributions. And when we achieve status, it triggers a reward response in our brains. It makes us more likely to participate and stay engaged.
So it's not just about vanity metrics. It's about fostering an environment where people feel genuinely appreciated for what they bring to the table.
Exactly. Creating communities that nurture a sense of status is vital. It's about giving people opportunities to make meaningful contributions and then acknowledging those contributions authentically.
Okay, that makes sense. And what about certainty? How does that play into our behavior within communities?
Certainty, it's about reducing anxiety by creating an environment that feels predictable and secure. Our brains, they naturally crave predictability. They
Uh,
want to avoid uncertainty because uncertainty can trigger that threat response. And in a community setting, uncertainty can come from unclear rules, inconsistent moderation or a lack of transparency in decision making. It can even just be this feeling of constant change without clear direction.
so it's about building that stable and transparent environment where individuals feel confident and safe participating. How do we actually achieve that?
By setting clear expectations, being really open and transparent in your communication, and ensuring that members have a voice in shaping where the community is going. That builds trust and predictability, so people feel comfortable investing their time and energy without worrying about sudden changes or being treated unfairly.
Which leads perfectly to the next element of the SCARF model, autonomy. How does that fit into community dynamics?
Well, autonomy is all about giving individuals the power to control their choices and actions. It's that feeling of agency, that sense of ownership where we feel in command rather than being micromanaged.
It's like the difference between being told what to do and being empowered to make your own decisions right. In a community, a lack of autonomy can mean overly restrictive rules, a top-down leadership structure, or just a feeling that members' voices aren't being heard.
Precisely.
Yeah.
To foster autonomy, you need to find that sweet spot between structure and freedom. Provide guidelines, but empower people to take ownership. Let them create subgroups, participate in shaping community policies, or even take on leadership roles like moderating discussions.
That way, individuals become active participants, shaping the direction of the community instead of being passive bystanders. Now let's talk about relatedness. How does that factor into the dynamics of a community?
Relatedness, it taps into that fundamental human need for connection, that innate desire to belong, to be part of something bigger than ourselves. It's the glue that holds communities together in the first place.
It's that heartwarming feeling you get when you know you're part of something larger than yourself, surrounded by people who share your interests or just your desire for connection and learning. But how do you actually cultivate that sense of relatedness, especially online, where there's no physical interaction?
Well, it's about fostering genuine connections and making sure everyone feels included. Encourage interactions that go deeper than just superficial exchanges. Facilitate the creation of subgroups focused on shared interests. Organize virtual meetups or social events and encourage people to share personal stories and experiences.
Basically, create a space where people feel safe and welcome to be themselves where they can share vulnerabilities and form those meaningful connections. That brings us to the last domain in the Scaroff model, fairness. What role does fairness play in how we behave in communities?
Fairness is about ensuring everyone is treated equitably and that there's a sense of justice within the group. It's about having that confidence that you're not being taken advantage of or treated unfairly. A lack of fairness can show up as inconsistent moderation, favoritism towards certain members, or a lack of transparency in decision making. It can even be a sense that the rules aren't being applied consistently.
It's that feeling of resentment you get when you see others getting preferential treatment or you feel like your contributions are being ignored.
Yeah.
But how do you actually ensure fairness within communities? Does it mean you have to scrutinize every single interaction and maintain this perfect balance?
Not necessarily. It's more about establishing clear, transparent rules and then consistently applying those rules in a fair manner. Also, you need to create an environment where members feel comfortable speaking up if they feel like they've been wronged.
So fostering trust and accountability is key. Members need to believe that their concerns will be heard and addressed, and that the community is truly committed to fairness. By activating that reward response in all five of these SCAR5 domains, we can create a community that's not just engaging and enjoyable, but also psychologically safe and supportive of growth, collaboration, and innovation.
Exactly. The better we understand human psychology, the better equipped we are to build extraordinary communities. But just knowing those psychological drivers is only the first step. We need a solid plan to put that knowledge into action.
You're right, it's time to move from theory to practice. We need a community strategy, a roadmap outlining our goals, our target audience, and the steps we'll take to build a vibrant and engaged community. What are the key elements to consider when we're developing this strategy?
The first thing you need to do is define a crystal clear mission for your community. Articulate its purpose, the value it aims to create, and how it aligns with your broader goals as an organization or as an individual.
So it's like a mission statement specifically for the community, outlining its reason for being and the impact it wants to have.
Exactly. And the mission needs to be more than just some lofty aspirational statement. It needs to be something you can act on, something measurable, and something that truly resonates with your intended audience.
It should be something that gets people fired up and excited to actively participate. Once you have that defined mission, what's next?
Figuring out the right engagement model for your community. Earlier, we talked about the consumer, the champion, and the collaborator models. Each one has its own unique characteristics and advantages.
Meaning, depending on how much participation you want and the type of engagement you're aiming for, you can tailor the structure and strategies of your community accordingly.
Exactly. And as your community evolves, you might find that a hybrid approach that combines elements of those different models ends up working best.
Flexibility and adaptability are key. Find that right balance between structure and freedom to create an environment that genuinely supports engagement and growth. So we have a clear mission and an engagement model. What's the next step?
Now you need to craft a really compelling value proposition for your community. Clearly lay out the tangible benefits that members will receive and why they should invest their time and energy.
It's like a marketing pitch for the community itself, right? Highlighting all the key features, benefits, and opportunities that will draw people in and get them excited to participate.
Exactly. But it should be more than just a laundry list of perks. You need to tap into those intrinsic motivations that we talked about earlier, address people's inherent needs for connection learning, growth recognition, or even just the desire to make a positive impact on the world.
So essentially, you need to answer the question, what's in it for me,
Mm.
in a way that truly connects with your target audience? What comes after crafting a strong value proposition?
Defining your target audience is super important. Determine exactly who your ideal members are, understand their demographics, their psychographics, what motivates them.
It's like creating customer personas, right?
Hmm.
Developing those detailed profiles of the people you want to reach. That
Yeah.
way you can tailor your community's strategy and messaging to speak directly to their needs and desires.
Exactly. Those personas, they can be incredibly valuable in shaping everything from the community's design and features to the content you create and the engagement strategies you use. It's about ensuring that your community is built with your target audience in mind, offering an experience that's relevant, engaging, and personalized. Once we've really understood our target audience, where do we go from there?
Well, creating a smooth on-ramp is super important. It's that first impression that guides new members from initial interest to becoming active participants. How do we design an on-ramp that really works?
The key is to remove any friction, any barriers that might prevent people from fully engaging. So provide really clear guidelines and tutorials. Offer a personalized welcome message. Connect new members with mentors or those who are already active in the community. And above all, make it a welcoming and inclusive atmosphere where people feel comfortable asking for help and asking questions.
Make that initial experience smooth and enjoyable so you set the stage for long-term engagement and active participation. As the community starts to grow, what are the next steps in our strategy?
As your community starts to expand and take shape, you want to develop a quarterly delivery plan. It's a roadmap that outlines the specific tasks and initiatives you'll undertake to reach your community goals.
So it's like a project management blueprint for the community, breaking down your big vision into manageable tasks with deadlines, assigned responsibilities, and a way to keep everyone accountable. That way you ensure consistent progress and can adapt as you learn and grow.
Right. This plan should be dynamic changing as you gain a deeper understanding of the community, and it should be transparent so members can see what's coming and offer their feedback. This creates a sense of shared ownership and collaboration, making members active participants in shaping the community's future. Finally, as we're implementing our community strategy, how do we measure its success? How do we know if our efforts are paying off and we're making progress toward our goals?
That's where we need to define those success metrics, those key performance indicators, KPIs, that align with our overall community mission and objectives.
Exactly. Think of it like a dashboard for your community. You're tracking all those crucial data points, member growth, active users, content creation, support interactions, and even those qualitative measures like member satisfaction and the overall sentiment of the community.
Right? It's about getting a holistic view of how the community is functioning and using that data to inform our decisions and optimize our approach. But it's not just about analyzing numbers either, is it? We also need to actively listen to our community, observe how they're interacting, and seek their feedback to constantly improve the overall experience.
Absolutely. It's about creating that continuous feedback loop where we're learning from the community and adapting our approach to best meet their evolving needs. So we've explored the value of communities, the psychological factors that drive engagement, and the essential components of a strong community strategy. What happens when we move from planning to actually building and growing our community? What are the keys to success in that phase?
Well, building a thriving community, it requires constant care, attention, adaptation, and a willingness to try new things. It's a lot like tending a garden, nurturing it, protecting it from weeds, and adjusting your methods as the seasons change and your plants have different needs.
That's a great analogy. Just like a garden needs fertile soil, sunlight, water, and a nurturing hand, a community also needs the right conditions to truly flourish. So, what are some of those initial steps we should focus on when launching a brand new community?
Building momentum from the very beginning seems crucial, doesn't it? That initial burst of energy and excitement draws in those early adopters, sets the tone, and creates a feeling of forward progress.
Exactly. It's like launching a rocket. You need that initial powerful thrust to overcome gravity and escape Earth's pull. Without it, the rocket would just fall back down.
So how do we create that initial momentum for a community?
It can come from a well-publicized launch event, creating compelling content, or even just a core group of passionate early adopters who champion the community and spread the word. The key is to create that buzz, that excitement that makes people feel like they're in on something special that's about to take off. Once you've got that initial momentum, what's the next important step?
Creating a smooth on-ramp for new members is vital, right? We touched on this earlier, that crucial first impression that guides new members from initial curiosity to becoming active participants.
For sure. A well-designed on-ramp is crucial. Start by providing clear, concise information about the community, its mission, its values, its expectations, and what people will gain by joining.
So it's like a welcome sign, right? Giving newcomers that initial guidance, helping them understand the essence and purpose of the community.
Exactly. And you want to present this information in an engaging and easily digestible way. Craft a compelling welcome message. Create a short video overview. Maybe use a visually appealing infographic that highlights the key aspects of the community. The goal is to minimize the mental effort required so people can easily grasp what the community is about and feel confident taking that next step. What happens after that initial onboarding process?
Well, guiding new members through a series of steps that encourage them to actively participate seems important. It's like giving them a guided tour of the community, helping them discover the resources and connections that align with their interests.
Exactly. So create that step-by-step onboarding process. Offer some interactive tutorials. Connect new members with mentors or those who are already seasoned members of the community. And most importantly, foster an environment where they feel comfortable asking for help and asking questions. Make the whole experience seamless and enjoyable so there are no barriers to engagement. What strategies can we use once the community starts to grow?
To keep the community thriving, we need to implement strategies that encourage ongoing engagement and growth. Creating a continuous flow of interesting content, hosting engaging events and discussions, providing opportunities for members to contribute and take on leadership roles, and regularly recognizing and rewarding valuable contributions.
You're absolutely right. It's about making sure the community stays dynamic and engaging, that there's always something new to discover, and that members feel valued and appreciated for the contributions they make. But how do we keep track of how effective these strategies are?
We need to rely on those success metrics that we talked about earlier, the KPIs, that let us measure the impact of our efforts and track our progress toward our goals. Metrics like member growth, active users, content creation, support interactions, and overall community sentiment give us valuable insight into what's working and what needs improvement.
Precisely. By tracking those metrics, we can figure out how effective our engagement strategies are, identify areas where we can do better, and use that data to inform our decisions and refine our approach. But it's not just about crunching numbers. It's also about actively listening to your community, observing how people are interacting, and soliciting feedback so you can improve the overall experience.
It's about building that continuous feedback loop where you're constantly learning from the community and adjusting your approach to better serve their needs. As our community grows, do our engagement strategies also need to evolve?
Absolutely. Different strategies might be more effective at different stages of your community's life cycle. In the early stages, the focus might be on attracting those early adopters and building momentum. As the community matures, the emphasis might shift toward fostering deeper engagement, empowering members to take on leadership roles, and nurturing a self-sustaining ecosystem of support and collaboration.
So adapting our approach to the evolving needs and dynamics of the community ensures that it stays relevant, engaging, and valuable to its members over time. This has been a really insightful discussion on community engagement strategies. Is there anything else we should keep in mind as we embark on this community building journey?
One thing to remember is that building a successful community, it takes patience, persistence, and a willingness to embrace imperfection. It's a marathon, not a sprint, and there will be ups and downs along the way.
So we need to embrace the journey as a whole, both the good times and the bad, and celebrate all those little wins along the way.
Exactly. And at the end of the day, community building is about human connection. It's about creating that sense of belonging, building a space where people can share their passions, support each other, and come together to make a positive impact on the world.
It's about creating something that's not just functional, but also meaningful and enriching something that's fundamentally human.
Exactly. Approach community building with that spirit of connection and a willingness to embrace imperfection. That's how you cultivate something truly extraordinary.
I'm feeling inspired and ready to dive into this community building adventure. Are there any final thoughts we should keep in mind as we navigate this exciting and sometimes challenging terrain?
Be mindful of the potential challenges that can arise. Building a community, it's not always going to be smooth sailing. You might run into conflict, you'll have to navigate difficult personalities, and you'll need to adapt to unexpected changes.
It's like sailing uncharted waters, right? You're bound to encounter unexpected storms and obstacles that require you to adjust course.
Exactly. Just like a skilled captain, a successful community builder needs to develop the skills and strategies to navigate those challenges effectively.
So what are some of those common obstacles we might face? What kind of pitfalls should we be prepared for?
Well, conflict is pretty much unavoidable whenever you bring people together. Disagreements, misunderstandings, even outright arguments that can happen.
It's like that saying, too many cooks spoil the broth, right? Having lots of different perspectives and personalities, it inevitably leads to some friction.
Exactly. While conflict can sometimes spark healthy debates and lead to innovative solutions, if it's not managed well, it can be really damaging.
So how do you navigate conflict within a community? What strategies can you use to resolve disagreements and maintain a positive and productive environment?
The first step is to establish clear community guidelines that outline acceptable behavior communication protocols and procedures for handling complaints and resolving conflicts.
It's like creating the rules of the road for the community, providing that structure for interaction so everyone understands the rules and you reduce the risk of collisions.
Exactly. Develop those guidelines collaboratively. Get input from the community so they reflect the shared values and expectations of the group.
That creates a sense of ownership and shared responsibility for maintaining a positive and respectful environment. Once those guidelines are in place, what's next?
You need to enforce them consistently and fairly. Address any violations quickly and transparently. Make sure there's accountability and that the guidelines aren't just words on a page, but an actual code of conduct that shapes how people interact.
So having clear guidelines and consistent enforcement are crucial. But what about the skills needed to actually resolve conflicts when they come up?
Developing conflict resolution skills is really important. Learn how to mediate disagreements, facilitate open dialogue, and find solutions that address everyone's needs.
It's like becoming a community diplomat, right? Bridging divides, fostering understanding, and finding that common ground to help the community move forward in a positive and productive direction. How can individuals develop those conflict resolution skills?
Through training, mentoring, or even just by observing experienced community leaders and learning from their approach. But conflict isn't the only challenge you'll face. What other hurdles should we anticipate?
Dealing with difficult personalities is another one, right? Every community, no matter how well-intentioned, is going to have people who are disruptive, negative, or just generally difficult to interact with.
Exactly. While it's important to foster an inclusive and welcoming environment, it's also crucial to set boundaries and address behavior that's harmful to the community or its members.
We need to find that balance between tolerance and accountability. Create a space that's safe and respectful, but don't let people who are intent on causing trouble hijack the community.
Right. Develop strategies for dealing with disruptive behavior, like setting those clear boundaries, directly confronting the behavior, or even in extreme cases, removing individuals who consistently cause harm.
Ultimately, you need to protect the well-being of the community and make sure it remains a positive and productive space. Besides conflict and difficult personalities, are there other challenges we should be prepared for?
Well, communities, they're dynamic. They're always changing. So you need to be prepared for unexpected changes and challenges.
It's like navigating uncharted territory. You have to be ready to adapt to unexpected shifts and obstacles.
Exactly. A good community builder, just like a skilled navigator, needs to be adaptable, resourceful, and able to adjust their approach as circumstances change.
So how do we develop that adaptability? What are some strategies for navigating those unexpected challenges and ensuring that our community continues to thrive?
The key is to foster a culture of open communication and feedback. Encourage people to share their concerns, their ideas, their suggestions. Be open to constructive criticism and different points of view.
So basically create an environment where individuals feel comfortable expressing themselves, sharing their perspective, and contributing to how the community evolves.
Exactly. That open dialogue helps you identify potential problems early on, gather insights, and make informed decisions.
It's about tapping into the collective wisdom of the group, understanding that everyone has something valuable to contribute, and using that collective intelligence to overcome obstacles. Are there any other strategies that can help us become more adaptable?
Cultivate a growth mindset. See challenges not as setbacks, but as opportunities for learning. Embrace them as chances to grow, adapt, and evolve along with the community.
We need to find that silver lining in every difficult situation, recognizing that even those tough experiences teach us valuable lessons and make us more resilient. That kind of perspective helps us approach community building with curiosity, a willingness to experiment, and a commitment to continuous improvement.
Exactly. By fostering open communication and embracing that growth mindset, you can successfully navigate the ever-changing landscape of community building.
This has been a really valuable discussion on the potential challenges and pitfalls we might encounter as we build a community. But before we move on, is there anything else we should keep in mind as we venture into those choppy waters?
Remember that patience and persistence are essential. Building a truly thriving community, it takes time, effort, and a willingness to weather those inevitable storms. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
We need to embrace the entire journey with all its ups and downs and celebrate those small victories along the way.
Absolutely. Community building, it's all about human connection. It's about fostering a sense of belonging, creating a space where people can share their passions, offer support, and make a positive impact on the world together.
It's about building something meaningful, enriching, and ultimately deeply human.
Precisely. And by approaching community building with that spirit of connection and a willingness to embrace imperfection, we can create something truly extraordinary.
I'm feeling empowered and ready to embark on this community building adventure. As we wrap up our discussion on the potential challenges, are there any final thoughts we should keep in mind as we navigate this exciting yet sometimes difficult terrain?
One last piece of advice is to always stay true to your community's mission and values. As your community grows and evolves, It's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day operations, the metrics, the strategies, and lose sight of that core purpose that brought you together in the first place.
It's like getting lost in the woods, isn't it?
Yeah,
We need to keep our compass pointed in the right direction, regularly check our bearings, and make sure we're staying true to that initial course.
exactly. And that means regularly revisiting your community's mission statement, asking yourself if your actions are aligning with your values, and seeking feedback from the community to make sure you're staying true to their needs and expectations.
It's about staying grounded, remembering why you started this journey in the first place, and ensuring that every decision you make serves the greater good of the community.
Precisely. By staying true to your community's mission and values, you'll create a compass that guides your actions, inspires your members, and ensures that your community remains a force for good in the world.
This has been a really insightful conversation about the importance of staying aligned with our community's purpose as it grows. But before we move on to integrating communities into organizations and our personal lives, is there anything else we should be mindful of?
One crucial aspect is recognizing that community building, it's not a solo endeavor. It thrives when it's interwoven into the fabric of our organizations, our businesses, even our personal lives.
It's about changing our perspective, right? Seeing community as something that's integral to who we are and what we do, not just some external add-on. How do we actually facilitate that shift in thinking?
You start by securing buy-in from leadership. Without the full support of those in leadership positions, community initiatives often struggle to get the resources and prioritization they need to be successful.
It's like trying to build a house without a solid foundation. Without that strong backing from leadership, any endeavor is likely to crumble.
Exactly. We have to educate those leaders about the value that community brings, about its strategic advantages, and how important it is to integrate it into the culture and operations of the organization.
It's got to be more than just words, right? Leaders have to demonstrate their commitment through their actions, through their active participation, and by allocating the necessary resources.
Absolutely. When leaders genuinely embrace and champion the community, it sends a powerful message throughout the organization. It fosters a culture that values collaboration and connection. So we've got leadership on board. What's the next step in integrating community into our organizations?
Bringing in dedicated community staff seems crucial. We talked about the roles of community directors, community managers, community evangelists, individuals who have the expertise to guide and nurture the community.
Exactly. And just like any other essential role within an organization, these individuals need resources, support, and the authority to do their jobs effectively.
We need to treat community as a strategic priority, not just some side project that's tacked onto marketing.
You got it. Investing in dedicated community staff sends a clear message that community is valued, that it's integral to the organization's success, and that it deserves the same level of attention and investment as other core functions. We've got leadership support and dedicated personnel. How do we further weave community into the organizational fabric?
Encouraging collaboration across departments is essential, wouldn't you say? Community shouldn't just be siloed within one team or department. It should be a collective effort with input and participation from everyone in the organization.
You're absolutely right. We need to break down those silos, encourage communication and collaboration between different teams, and make sure everyone understands the value of community and how it relates to the work they do.
For example, the marketing team could contribute to content creation and promotion. The engineering team could focus on platform development and technical support. The customer support team could engage with members and answer questions. Even the sales team can benefit from community insights to tailor their pitches and better understand customer needs. It's about seeing the community as a shared resource, something that benefits everyone in the organization.
Exactly. By encouraging that cross-departmental collaboration, we can leverage the diverse skills and perspectives of our teams to create a much richer and more impactful community experience. So we're breaking down silos and encouraging collaboration. What other steps can we take to really make community an integral part of our organizational culture?
Giving our employees the skills and knowledge they need to effectively participate in and contribute to the community is essential, I think. Not everyone is naturally gifted at community engagement, so providing guidance, support, and training is really important.
Absolutely. This could involve offering workshops on community building, online courses on engagement strategies, or mentorship programs where experienced community members share their knowledge with those who are newer to the scene.
It's about fostering a culture of learning and sharing, where community engagement is seen as a valuable skill that everyone can develop and use.
Precisely. By investing in employee training and mentorship, we create a more informed, more engaged, and more effective community, which ultimately benefits both the organization and its members. We've talked about leadership, dedicated staff collaboration, and training. What else do we need to make sure our community thrives and is sustainable over time?
We need a system, a structure in place that keeps community a top priority and ensures that it's consistently receiving attention, resources, and support.
Right. What you need is to implement a cadence-based workflow, a regular cycle of planning, execution review, and optimization.
This creates a rhythm for community engagement. It becomes embedded in the organization's regular operations rather than being treated as a one-off project.
Exactly. This cadence could involve regular meetings for the community team, quarterly assessments of progress toward goals, and annual planning sessions where you step back and evaluate your community strategy, assess its effectiveness, and make adjustments based on what you've learned and the feedback you've received.
It's about creating a system that keeps the community front and center, ensuring that it's consistently receiving the attention, resources, and support it needs to thrive.
Exactly. A cadence-based workflow provides a sustainable and scalable approach to community building, benefiting both the organization and its members for years to come. This has been a really thorough look at how to integrate community into organizations. As we wrap up our deep dive, are there any other considerations for our listeners who are embarking on their community building journey?
We've covered a lot today: the evolution of communities, the benefits they provide, the psychology of engagement, strategic planning, the role of events, organizational integration, and the potential challenges we might face. As we bring this discussion to a close, do you have any final words of wisdom for our listeners who are setting out to build their own communities?
Never underestimate the power of genuine human connection. In a world that's becoming increasingly digital, it's easy to lose sight of the importance of those face-to-face interactions, shared experiences, and connecting with others on a human level.
It's about remembering that behind those screens and online profiles are real people with real emotions, aspirations, anxieties, and a fundamental need to connect and belong.
Absolutely. And building a community that prioritizes those human connections, that encourages empathy, understanding, and genuine interaction, that's how we create something truly special. A space where individuals feel seen, heard, valued, and empowered to contribute their unique talents to a shared purpose.
This has been an amazing exploration of the world of communities. I think it would be really helpful to give our listeners a concise recap of the key takeaways from our deep dive. What do you think?
That's a fantastic idea. Distilling those insights into a clear, actionable format will be incredibly valuable for our listeners as they embark on their own community building journeys.
So here are 10 key takeaways from our exploration of communities. Number one, communities have evolved from local groups to globally interconnected networks driven by technology and that enduring human desire to connect to one another. Number two, communities offer a wide range of benefits impacting customer engagement, marketing education, innovation recruitment, and even societal progress. Number three, understanding human psychology, especially through the lens of behavioral economics and the SCARF model, is essential for creating engaging and fulfilling communities. Number four, building a solid community strategy involves defining a clear mission, choosing the right engagement model, crafting a compelling value proposition, understanding your target audience, designing an intuitive on-ramp, implementing a quarterly delivery plan, and establishing measurable success metrics. Number five, in-person events are still incredibly valuable, fostering stronger relationships, creating a shared sense of identity, and forging lasting memories. Number six, integrating community into your organization requires buy-in from leadership, dedicated community staff, collaboration across departments, employee training, and a consistent cadence-based workflow. Number seven, anticipate and prepare for challenges like conflict, difficult personalities, and unexpected changes. Embrace imperfection and cultivate a growth mindset. Number eight, stay true to your community's mission and values. Use them as guiding principles for your actions and as a source of inspiration for your members. Number nine, never underestimate the power of genuine human connection. Foster authentic interactions and create a space where individuals feel acknowledged, appreciated, and empowered to contribute their unique talents. And number 10, embrace the journey, celebrate the wins, learn from the setbacks, and remember that building a thriving community is an ongoing process of growth, adaptation, and shared purpose.
That's an excellent summary of the key points. I'm sure our listeners will find these takeaways helpful as they start building their own communities.
Me too. Remember, there are so many opportunities out there to connect, collaborate, and create something meaningful together. embrace the power of community, and make a positive impact on the world.
One really important thing to understand is that building community, it shouldn't be a solitary thing. It really thrives when it's woven into the very structure of organizations, businesses, and even our personal
It's
lives.
a shift in thinking almost right.
Yeah.
We need to view community as essential to who we are and what we do, not just as an extra thing we tack on. So how do we actually encourage that shift?
Well, it starts with getting buy-in from the people at the top leadership. Without their strong support community, initiatives often struggle to get the resources and attention they need to truly succeed.
It's kind of like trying to build a house without a proper foundation, right?
Yeah.
If you don't have that unwavering support from leadership, the whole thing is likely to fall apart.
That's a great way to put it. We need to educate those leaders about the inherent value of community, its strategic advantages, and the importance of making it an integral part of the organization's culture and how it operates.
So it's more than just paying lip service.
Mhm.
They need to demonstrate that commitment through tangible actions, active participation, and actually allocating resources.
Absolutely. When leaders truly believe in and champion the community, it resonates throughout the entire organization. It helps foster a culture where collaboration and connection are truly valued. So now we've got leadership on board. What's the next step in bringing community into our organizations?
Hiring dedicated community personnel seems crucial. Earlier, we talked about community directors, community managers, community evangelists, individuals with the specific skills and experience needed to guide and nurture the community.
Exactly. And just like any other critical role within an organization, these people need resources, support, and the authority to effectively carry out their responsibilities.
We need to view community as a strategic imperative, not just a peripheral marketing activity.
You got it. Investing in dedicated community staff sends a very clear message. It says that community is valued, it's central to the organization's success, and it deserves the same level of attention and investment as any other core function. All right, we've secured support from leadership, and we've brought on dedicated personnel. How else can we weave community into the fabric of the organization?
I think it's crucial to encourage collaboration across departments. Community shouldn't be confined to just one team or department. It should be a shared effort that involves input and participation from every part of the organization.
You're absolutely right. We need to break down those silos and promote communication and collaboration between teams. That way, everyone understands the value that community brings and how it connects to their own work.
The marketing team, for instance, could contribute to content creation and promotion. The engineering team could focus on platform development and technical support. Customer support could be responsible for interacting with members and responding to questions. Even the sales team can use insights from the community to better tailor their pitches and understand customer needs. It's about recognizing that community is a valuable resource that benefits everyone in the organization.
Exactly. By encouraging that cross-departmental collaboration, we're taking advantage of the diverse skills and perspectives our teams have to offer. And that creates a richer and more impactful community experience. So we're breaking down silos and encouraging collaboration. What else can we do to truly make community an integral part of our organizational culture?
I think it's important to give employees the skills and knowledge they need to effectively participate in and contribute to the community. Not everyone is naturally good at community engagement, so providing guidance, support, and training is vital.
You're right. This could involve workshops on community building online courses focused on engagement strategies or even mentorship programs where experienced community members share their expertise with those who are newer to it all.
It's about creating a culture where learning and sharing are valued and where community engagement is seen as a valuable skill that anyone can develop and leverage.
Exactly. By investing in employee training and mentorship, we're creating a community that's more informed, more engaged, and more effective. And that benefits both the organization and its members in the long run. We've addressed leadership, dedicated staff collaboration, and training. What else is needed to ensure that our community not only survives, but thrives and remains sustainable in the long term?
We need some kind of system, a framework in place that keeps community a top priority and ensures that it's consistently getting the attention, resources, and support it needs.
Absolutely. Implementing what we call a cadence-based workflow, a regular cycle of planning, execution, review, and optimization is crucial.
So this establishes a kind of rhythm for community engagement. It becomes ingrained in the organization's regular operations instead of being treated as some kind of one-time project.
Exactly. This cadence could involve things like holding regular meetings with the community team, doing quarterly check ins to assess progress against goals, and having annual planning sessions where you revisit your community strategy, evaluate its effectiveness, and make adjustments based on what you've learned and the feedback you've received.
It's about creating a system that keeps the community front and center. That way it's consistently getting the attention, the resources, and the support it needs to flourish.
Right. A cadence based workflow makes community building more sustainable and scalable, which benefits both the organization and its members for years to come. This has been a comprehensive look at how we can integrate community into the fabric of our organizations. As we approach the end of our deep dive, is there anything else we should consider on this journey?
Well, we've explored a lot of ground today. The evolution of communities, the value they offer, the psychology behind engagement, strategic planning, the power of events, how to integrate community within organizations, and even some of the potential challenges we might face. As we wrap things up, what final insights can you offer to our listeners who are ready to embark on their own community building adventures?
Never lose sight of the importance of genuine human connection. In our increasingly digital world, it's easy to forget how powerful those face to face interactions, shared experiences, and connecting with each other on a human level truly are.
It's about remembering that behind those computer screens and online profiles are real people with their own unique hopes, dreams, fears, and a fundamental need for connection and belonging.
You nailed it. When we create a community that prioritizes those human connections, that encourages empathy, understanding, and authentic interaction, that's when we create something truly extraordinary. A place where individuals feel seen, heard, valued, and empowered to contribute their unique talents to a common purpose.
This has been an incredible journey of exploration and discovery into the world of communities. Before we sign off, I think it would be helpful to give our listeners a concise recap of the key takeaways from our deep dive. What do you think?
I love that idea. Boiling down all these valuable insights into a clear and actionable format will be incredibly helpful for our listeners as they begin their own community building endeavors.
All right, so here are 10 key takeaways from our deep dive into the world of communities. First, communities have evolved from local groups to these vast interconnected networks driven by technology and the enduring human need for connection. Second, communities bring immense value, influencing everything from customer engagement and marketing to education, innovation, recruitment, and even broader societal progress. Third, understanding human psychology, particularly through the lenses of behavioral economics and the SCARF model, is crucial for building communities that are both engaging and rewarding. Fourth, creating a solid community strategy involves defining a clear mission, selecting the right engagement model, developing a compelling value proposition, understanding your target audience, designing a smooth on-ramp for new members, creating a quarterly delivery plan, and establishing measurable success metrics. Fifth, in-person events are still incredibly powerful. They foster stronger relationships, create a shared sense of identity, and forge lasting memories. Sixth, integrating community into your organization requires buy-in from leadership, dedicated community staff, cross-departmental collaboration, employee training, and a consistent cadence-based workflow. Seventh, anticipate and prepare for challenges like conflict, difficult personalities, and unforeseen changes. Embrace those imperfections and cultivate a growth mindset. Eighth, stay true to your community's mission and values. Use them to guide your actions and as a source of inspiration for your members. Ninth, never underestimate the power of genuine human connection. Foster those authentic interactions and create a space where individuals feel acknowledged, appreciated, and empowered to contribute their unique talents. And finally, 10th, embrace the journey. Celebrate the wins, learn from those inevitable setbacks, and remember that building a thriving community is an ongoing process of growth, adaptation, and shared purpose.
Wow, what a fantastic summary. I have no doubt that our listeners will find these takeaways incredibly helpful as they embark on their own community building journeys.
I do too. Remember, there are countless opportunities out there for us to connect, collaborate, and create something truly meaningful together. Embrace the transformative power of community and use it to make a positive impact on the world.